Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this video. Today we're going behind the scenes of my favorite show, House of the Dragon, and we're going to examine the evolution of what the production team calls the Buck. It went from this, when Emilia Clarke was writing it, to this. We'll hear from some of the amazing craftsmen who make these creatures fly, and take a look at some of the dragon riders in House of the Dragon Season 2 on HBO Max. Help me out by subscribing to this channel so I can continue to make great content, and please do enjoy.
The evolution of that is huge. The evolution
of the dragons?
Yeah, so it felt the first time it was this hard green shell type thing. It was manually operated, and then there was like a pole either end, and it was essentially like the dudes on the railway who
right.
Those things. So there was a pole coming out the one end, and in this hot Asuna sun, there's this one dude who's like and I'm there kind of trying to like, yeah, this is badass, and everyone's like, no, look badass. You look like Harry Potter. You look like you're on a broomstick. And there was kind of like a little like wind blower, someone trying to like get the wind in my face.
It sounds like a hairdryer.
Literally, yeah, that's exactly it. So that was the first dragon riding experience in truth.
Yeah.
And trying so hard to feel it and be like, this is this magical moment for this character. I'm at one with my animals. I can take over the world. I'm gonna fly away. Everything's gonna be amazing. But in truth, you're like, like, and people are kind of looking around, being like, it looks kind of weird. Like,
So what did it evolve into?
so then it evolved into this genuinely scary theme park ride. It's a massive hard green shell, but now it's sort of split into 4 parts, so they all independently move with one another. So then I jump on it, and I'm holding onto the things, and I have a harness that attaches me to it because it can get quite violent. So it's all pre-programmed. You've got the incredible people who are in charge of making it move, and she's sort of down there with like a joystick. Visual effects will map out the journey of what the dragon is doing, and then on top of that, they'll figure out what physically the dragon would be doing at each and every moment of that journey. What's moving, how he breathes.
Wow.
My favorite note, Emilia, remember to allocate for dragon breathing? And I'm like, okay, I need, I'm on any, he's breathing, he's got a cough. And then if you're in a sort of a more violent skyward journey, it can be really, really freaky.
It's genuinely been the best time I've ever had on set ever. It's so much fun.
Moondancer's a brand new dragon, so the description that I gave to the designers was simply David Bowie, and we ended up with this like tiger-striped green punk rocker with a mohawk, and I'm thrilled with the outcome of it.
She is the coolest of them all. I am biased, but she's really, really slender. She's pale green. She's so fast.
The Crownland sequence, where Bela is chasing Cole and Gwaine. It's just a very fun, classic chase scene. Everybody has to use their imagination in those moments, but ultimately it's down to the VFX team to make it real. So it's essential that they're right next to you, and what you're shooting is going to work for them.
This is what happens behind the scenes. I'm just going on a practice joy ride.
Katie, the DP, and the guys in the Buck and all the lighting technicians that work in there with the Manumatic rig and all that technology, they get together and work through everything to make sure they're getting what the VFX department need for the post-work.
So the whole dragon process was incredibly complicated, as they are characters acting within a scene, and we have to work out their performance before we get to the actual location. A lot of moving parts in terms of scale, size, speed. So really a lot of logistics about how this is going to come together from a practical point of view, and what can we actually shoot, and then what actually really needs to be happening in the shots at the end. So there's a lot of science involved in that, in terms of dragon speeds and distances, in terms of that chase.
We have developed a system, so through camera we can take the footage and we can apply it to a CG scene using Unreal Engine. And what that does is allow us to see the solved camera move on the Buck recomposed onto the dragon in CG for a sort of slap comp, if you like, just so they can see in Video Village that the move is working correctly.
It's hard work. Yeah. Dragon riding. Yeah.
Because we shot the buck work of that sequence before we had shot the location work, the main challenge lighting-wise was we didn't know if the location was going to be sunny, if it would be cloudy, so we had to do one pass for sun and one pass for shade.
It's fun filming on the buck. It's incredibly strategic because you have to understand the difference between fantasy and naturalism. So thinking about how much wind goes on someone's face when you're actually going at terminal velocity, how someone moves on an animal. All of these things are really important. I don't think there's much you can do in a profile shot. Seriously. Unless you turn the camera and go, this is amazing.
You get shown a mock-up of what you look like on the dragon, like a half-hybrid cartoon version of you doing the whole sequence. And then suddenly you're really like digging your heels in as though it's a horse. It's bonkers.
It's great when you get an actor like Bethany who loves the experience and is putting their all into it, because so much of what you're doing is imaginary, so everybody has to be on the same page.
Nothing can prepare you for what that first day on the book is going to be like. It's the most insane thing I've ever done in my career so far, and being so high up and being able to see how many people it takes to make this show, and you're just all on your own on that dragon, and I was like, wow, this is a really cool thing that we're doing.
She was having an amazing time. She couldn't wait to get on the buck every day, which makes everyone else's life a lot easier.
It's like going to Disneyland at like terminal velocity, only you're dressed like this.
I said it's the best day at work ever.
Thankfully, we had Alan Taylor, the veteran filmmaker on Game of Thrones and countless other shows, to do it.
Alan came to it and really brought just kind of another level of scale to it.
Working with Alan's fantastic because he's one of those directors who knows what he wants before he gets there.
The thing with Rook's Rest is that Alan storyboarded Rook's Rest really, really carefully in advance.
Shout out to Jane Wu, our main storyboard artist, because it was collaborating with her that designed the action both in the air and on the ground and sort of shaped it into the story that we wound up shooting and telling.
The big dragon fight that's happening in the sky, a lot of it was shot on something that's a cross between a volume and a blue screen stage.
This was Buck 2.0 this year. I mean, they did learn from the first season and improve it. It can be programmed in ways that the other one was not, so to simulate the flaps of wing movement and sudden changes in direction.
It's very animal-like, you know, almost feel the breath of the beast.
The cameras adjust into your movements as well.
We did it slightly differently this year. We have a robot camera.
We worked out a plan to attach the camera to the buck rig and having the movement match to the buck.
And the two working together can provide almost any angle.
The way World War II dogfights were shot, plane to plane, most of our stuff is shot dragon to dragon. You want the camera to feel like it's essentially on another dragon.
The buck work, all of my only memory of the buck work is a large amount of wind on the face.
The Rook's Rest work, this saddle's throwing itself around all over the place.
And go, smellies.
And most critical character work has to happen, you know, while it's being slammed around. The quality of performance you're used to with her was all there, even though she's being flung around on a bucking dragon and chased by a robotic camera.
Fuck me sideways.